So Jonathan, before we dig into the 10 questions that we normally ask people, if they, how they can answer it before they join 3 to 5 Club, what does 3 to 5 Club mean to you? I mean, how do you see it, and how do you see it's making your business improve?
So I think it's all about community for me, and sort of there's a mastermind component to it, that you can't ignore. I don't want to sort of put it in the category of other mastermind groups, because it's different from that for sure. But it's like what people say, you have to surround yourself with people that are, farther along the path, or at least kind of where you're at on the path. Otherwise, you're a product of the average of the 4 people that you spend most of your time with, so you don't know what you don't know. And I go into a 3 to 5 Club meeting and I'm always learning a lot, and I know that I could even learn more if I would get out of my head and my old habits and patterns and listen to the new the wisdom and everything in there. So I think it's a community for me. That's what really matters. But there's also really good content. I mean, the content is phenomenal. The lessons in here are really, really solid and helpful, and that allows me to talk with my clients about these types of things, because they're struggling with that, or they might be at a point a little ahead of me or behind me, and just to get those types of entrepreneurial problems and solutions rolling around in your brain is an awesome thing. Yeah. What does it mean to you?
No, well, certainly community and content is a very key part. I think the word that comes to mind to me the most is accountability, and that is,
that's important.
If I'm in the 3 to 5 Club, the likelihood of me working on the business and meeting with people and whatnot is drastically higher than if it's just sort of in my wild card time, right? Because that time always seems to get filled with something else. Yeah. I mean, if you're trying to get in shape and you're paying a trainer and they get paid no matter whether you show up or not,
right?
Or if you have a workout partner, I mean, you're much more likely to go. And now you have an emotional reason to say, okay, I can put this down. I got to go to the 3 to 5 Club.
Yeah.
Right.
Whatever this is, it can wait.
I don't want to let these other people down. I got to get out of myself for a few minutes and go help somebody else, right? Instead of drowning in my own challenges or whatever.
And that's a great thing too, because it takes you out of whatever your stuff is that you're so worried about and over your head about. And then you're looking at other things objectively, so that when you come back to the office, you can look at your own stuff objectively. I mean, otherwise you wouldn't.
And I totally agree with that. And then also on the community side, I use the word community as well. A little bit of a different spin. I think that as an entrepreneur, I mean, there's not a lot of people out there that necessarily have that job description, right, that you can talk to. I mean, most of the time you can't talk to anybody at home about it.
Right, yeah.
There's no family members that would understand. There's no...
And they might feel insecure about it or worried,
Absolutely. Yeah. And so if you bring problems, you could just be creating anxiety, at home.
More problems.
Exactly. Which creates you more anxiety.
Yeah.
Or, certainly at work,
mm-hmm.
It's hard to find somebody there sometimes that you can talk to, because if they really could 100% relate to you, they would be your competitor, right? They wouldn't be working it. So, this is a place where you can come and lay it all on the line, but also to be with like-minded people, people that are like, you can tell they get it, instead of getting deer in headlights, right? And that's because it can be very isolating and lonely.
No, really.
Right, to not have that.
Yeah.
And so just to have that and have people understand sometimes is helpful too.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first prospecting question that we typically ask somebody that's interested in 3 to 5 Club is, are you confident that success is inevitable, but it's just taking a lot longer than you had hoped for and it's frustrating?
Yeah, and I think that's important because it shows us as a group that they really have a vision. They know what it's going to look like when they're meeting their success. They know what it feels like, what a day in the life will be like, so they can see the level 5 that they're going to get to with the group's help. But they're frustrated, like we all are, because it's not here right now yet. And I think what we are not looking for are people that have some sort of magical thinking, fantastical future that's not really well thought out. And it's like, yeah, well, I'm just going to own a jet, and I don't know, I'm going to vacation, 2 weeks out of every month, and it's going to be great, and I'm just going to be like the Disney billionaire,
Yeah.
caricature.
Well, they hope it's going to get better, but they're not really that confident that it will.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
a lot tougher.
And if you actually scratch the surface of their sort of vision, you can quickly see that it's not really a vision. It's more of a Disney thing. It's more of an interesting.
Right.
So I think this will screen it out.
That's
pretty
right.
well. Yeah.
That's right.
So the next question is, are you able to readily and openly admit that you don't have it all figured out? Why is that important?
Yeah, no, it's important because I think it's people with the same mentality that, they're looking for wisdom. They're constantly looking to get better. There's a reason Warren Buffett reads 4 hours a day or however many hours a day he reads, right? He's constantly trying to learn, constantly trying to get better. And I think, we want to be around people that are constantly trying to better themselves. They are humble enough to know that there's a lot of wisdom out there that they can still gain. And we're all like-minded in that respect, so we're all helping each other to progress and get better and looking out for each other that way.
Did you put that one in there, like, to avoid people that get really defensive or something? Because we give a lot of advice. I mean, business owners are giving advice all the time, for better or for worse.
Well, I think if in the group, if a particular individual either thinks they have it all figured out and like to answer every single question that's out there, like an authority figure, that doesn't necessarily help the dynamic of the group.
Yeah.
But then if you get defensive about something, if somebody's giving you a piece of advice that's very constructive, I think it's fine to ask clarifying questions and go back and forth. But if you're constantly defensive, my questions would then be, well, if you kind of have it figured out, why are you here?
What can I offer you? Because you know all the answers.
And also it can be a culture killer in that, if it's a defensive environment, then I think other people feel like they have to be defensive too, because then it's
there's not enough success to go around. So.
It's hey, you can't be transparent here. We have to be defensive in anything that people say about us. So
right, no, screw that.
It's not a popularity club. It's supposed to be a gym where we all work out and get better at things.
I mean, for you to actually, the fact that Warren Buffett actually, and I didn't know that actually, but the fact that he spends 4 hours reading a day or anything near that, and he's Warren Buffett, like if he were giving me any advice, I would shut the hell up and take his advice and religiously write it out and repeat it and on. But that shows us that he's not defensive at all, and he's actually looking for other people's wisdom and experience, which is really cool.
So the third question is, do you truly believe in the more you give, the more you get?
Yeah, and this was an interesting one because it kind of triggered a couple of us, right? Like some of us in the group were, like we have that feeling and we have that as a mantra, but there's also this problem with a lot of business owners, myself included at times, where you're giving so much to the business, and you're sacrificing a lot of your family time or time with friends or doing hobbies or whatever it is when you're doing a 12 or 13 hour workday consistently, 5-6 days a week even. It feels like there's nothing more to give, and so I was actually a little uncertain about this question because I don't always feel that way. Sometimes I feel like, man, I can't give another, if people are, if you have an AR problem ever, you don't feel like giving. But I think it's the definition, and I'd ask you this question too, like what is giving to you in this what do you mean by giving?
Yeah, I guess, I look at it, it's interesting to hear how people see it a different way, but I look at it as, what is your mindset when you come to the group? Is it, I better learn something today, I better get something out of this, or is it, gosh, I really hope I can solve someone's problem today, and get some good satisfaction from that. I think if everybody has the attitude of, I really like to give somebody a nugget that's going to help them today, eventually it'll come back around to you, and the power of people reciprocating, because we can get kind of all stressed out in our heads about our own problems and stuff, but to step outside of those things and say, you know what, I'm going to leave my problems alone for a second here and go in and start giving, and I think it's amazing how you'll end up getting it back tenfold, and how many people want to look out for you and reciprocate with what you're doing for them.
And not all the time, but often it seems like it's easier to see something objectively in someone else's company. Like at 3 to 5, we'll have a bottleneck, where somebody's just stuck, and they plateaued, or something's not working and they're not sure what it is because they're very much in the muck, they're entrenched in it. But we can see it objectively, and it just takes them a couple minutes to show us whatever the problem, and it's obvious, it's bright as day for all of us, but for that person that they're kind of stuck in it. So yeah.
Well, it's a lot easier to see the problem sometimes when you just
in other
back
people
up and look at it
with their firms than it is our own. So cobbler's shoes are always the worst.
I always say every entrepreneur is their own worst enemy. So
you got to get out of your own way. Okay, so do you firmly believe that radical, tough changes are often needed in order for growth to occur? And this kind of dovetails with what you were just saying. Yeah.
I think a lot of that too is just the whole concept of like radical amputation, right? I mean, it's kind of like if something is really holding you back, are you willing to kill it? I mean, are you willing to say, hey, either it's a person or it's a
there's to be a product or service, it's your baby that you've invented. You just love it, but it's not getting traction, in the market, and nobody really wants it as bad as you would. Yeah.
I think that's because if you come in and you've got a certain issue that's a problem, and everybody kind of knows it, it's kind of a gorilla in the room, and you dance around it and talk about other things. It's like, well, we need to deal with the big one up front, and so it's more of a. I don't know that this is necessarily you have to have this figured out before you come into the club, but you have to say, look, the mission of my company and what I want to accomplish with the company is the most important thing.
Right.
So I'm open to talking about radical or making tough decisions in order to get there. If it's the right decision.
Non-traditional business strategies, Yeah. No,
because otherwise you just stall.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that doesn't really help the group. That doesn't keep the group sharp and moving and encouraging.
And you don't necessarily want people in the group that are going to, sort of rally you behind the cause of stalling and, play it safe all the time. We want to be able to look at this with creative ideas, and, even if it seems radical at the time, we need the ability to jump forward and keep moving, keep it rolling, keep it getting from level 3 to level 5.
That's right. So our fifth question that we ask is your business and or your financial stability at a point where you can dedicate at least 10 hours a month to working on your business instead of working in your business? In other words, are you going to be able to give yourself emotional permission to work on your business for 10 hours a month instead of being in the grind? That's an important part of getting better and working.
It's interesting that you chose the word emotional. What do you say? Giving
emotional permission.
Emotional permission.
Yeah.
So that's
it's really a decision, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
it is.
Look, I am going to make this business a mature business.
Right.
Come, hell or high water, right?
Yeah. So, in a few years, rather than, I have to take care of this fire. I'm freaking out about this fire that's going on right now. I couldn't possibly go to a 2-hour meeting where people tell me how to not only take care of this fire, but make it so that the future fires won't be a problem, that you can handle them all. I think it's
like fireproofing, right?
Yeah.
Fireproofing, yeah.
And it's to a point with businesses where you have some staff Like the business isn't going to tank in your absence. Maybe if you left for a week or 2 or 3, it would tank. But for a half day, you're okay. It's not. You're not gonna lose it because you.
Yeah, we're just talking about 2 hours. We're not talking about a whole day, right?
Yeah.
But it's I think a lot of it is the stuff that can distract us probably can wait.
Mm-hmm.
We just have to give ourselves that emotional permission to
and not feel bad about it, right? Like, well, I'm being a bad technician or something in my business because I'm not doing work product for those 2 hours. I'm wasting my time, or that whole thought. We don't need. If you really want something, are you the kind of person that can really commit to it and not let go until you get what you want? And then we put, be honest.
I think we say be honest because there's actually a book called Grit. I don't know if you've ever read that, but there's a little test that you can kind of take in there about whether you're a gritty person, and I don't think anybody wants to say they're not a gritty person.
Well, some people do. They wouldn't be a good fit, but yeah, some people do.
It could be true, but I mean, if you look back and kind of think about, in the past, have you, given up on stuff that was just really just too hard, and if that's the case, it might just be the hard truth that this is not, the world for you. And I think what we don't want is people, in the group that, habitually, they don't follow through on things, right? Because, we want all of us to be encouraging each other, and entrepreneurship in business is very scary, right? And it requires a lot of courage, right? A lot of times. And you want to be surrounded by people that have that courage, not people that don't have that courage, right?
I think we don't want a lifestyle business. And all due respect to lifestyle business owners, I mean, have at it, give yourself a job and just have, 10 to 20 customers or clients instead of, a boss per se. But that's not what we're looking for. And it does take a ton of courage to actually implement. And, every time that we have a 3 to 5 club meeting, I've got at least 5 things that I'm really excited about doing. And if I only do 4 of them, I'm still kicking myself when we meet up for the next one, because that 5th thing was another nugget that I'm shooting myself in the foot to not do it. So we want people that are actually going to put it on their task list, put it on the calendar, and move forward rather than, I got distracted again and did something else.
No, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So our 7th question is, do you kind of knee-jerk reaction to defend yourself if you're receiving some constructive criticism from someone, or are you humble enough to take it in and reflect on it?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of like the earlier one. I mean, we don't want people to get defensive. That's just, it's going to be a waste of everybody's time, but especially that person's. If people are really pushing back, and you can disagree, but if you're really pushing back on someone else's perspective, their objective perspective of your bottlenecks, your problems, it's just not going to work. You're not going to move forward, and everybody's going to be worried about hurting your feelings or you hurting theirs or whatever. Who cares? Go out and get to the 5th level.
Yeah, you have to make it impersonal. You have to check your ego at the door and say, look, my job here is not to make myself look good. My job here is to get my business to maturity.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
That's what we're looking for.
And so that requires a certain amount of trust and transparency. And if you don't have that, it can hurt the dynamic of the group.
Yeah. And then it's a big, because it's very stressful being a business owner, oftentimes, and this could easily become, I think if we're not mindful about it, it could easily become a therapy session for everybody, because we're the only people that really understand, often the only people in their lives that really understand what it's like, to have a big severe cash flow swing, or to have to pull from a line of credit, or employment problems, or not meeting your projections, or sales problem, whatever it is. but we don't need therapy. We need help. We need help to push the business forward. And
encouragement.
And encouragement. Yeah. Do you believe in constant learning and a relentless pursuit of wisdom?
Yeah. Well, there's a difference between there's knowledge and there's intelligence and there's wisdom, right? Well, there's a difference, right? I mean, intelligence I think of as the ability to think. I think of knowledge as it's literally information in your hard drive, but wisdom is applying those things to real situations.
The correct knowledge.
That's right.
To the stimulus.
The stuff they don't teach you in business school, right? Or law school in your case. I think Mark Twain said, I really hope that school doesn't get in the way of my education, right? And there's
a good point.
There's a truth to that, right? Because when you get out here, they don't prepare you for how do you make these real world decisions, because there's an infinite amount of decisions you have to make, right? So you need to be seeking wisdom, and that's how to apply knowledge to particular situations, right?
Which is kind of the whole, cultural, mass information digital age problem, right? I mean, lawyers, and I'm sure it's the same with CPAs, the information is all out there. People can find it. It's just knowing what the right knowledge or information is to apply, So are you seeking wisdom relentlessly, because my whole job, my whole company is based on just giving people the right information succinctly and quickly, at the right time. But they could find it if they want to take a while,
I think wisdom is knowing that bringing one bad person into our group could hurt the culture of the entire group, right?
Yeah,
that would be wisdom.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff we want people sharing with each other.
Yeah.
All right, so our ninth question is, do you have either a lot of time or a lot of money, but you don't have both?
Yeah, and it feels often, at least for me, that, it's one or the other, because if you don't have a lot of money, you're probably sort of reinvesting every minute that you have to try to get back to that, cushion or whatever. And if you do have a lot of money, then you maybe rest on your laurels a little bit.
Yeah, or you have a lot of money and hoping to become a workaholic someday, right?
Yeah.
So, what we want to do is we want to gain time and money, which is what our definition is of freedom, right? And so this is more of a question of, if you answer yes to this, that, this club could be a really good fit for you, because our entire basis for what we're doing is to have both time and money.
To get to that freedom point, But, if you're a matured business owner, you've got both of these, there's not that sort of urgency that you share with the other members, where you got to get things done. You have to move forward, instead you can, I'm going to take an extra week and a half, to go out to my country home and, it's like, that's great, Bob. For sure.
That's right.
I'm going to be a slave to my business for another week.
That's right. No, that's right. And that with that freedom comes, more and more missional work. So, I mean, if you're probably in your business for things other than money. You know, most entrepreneurs are.
Yeah.
And so by gaining that freedom, you're going to have more opportunities to fulfill that mission in different ways.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's what we all crave. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if you're not in your business for something more than money, then you're probably not making much money. You need a reason to get up and do a 13-hour day, 6 days a week.
No, that's right.
You need something, and money's not going to get you there.
Yeah, that's absolutely
for
right.
most people. All right. Do you often struggle to decide what you should do next, or how to prioritize your actions? Yeah.
I think that if you answer no to that question, then you might be lying to yourself.
Yeah, that's kind of a magical thinking thing.
Yeah, I think if you're a true leader, you should be ahead of everybody else, and you're really the first one looking over the horizon. I always think of like Christopher Columbus, like looking over the horizon, like hoping that there's land, but not. I'm sure he doubted it a little bit.
Yeah, you got faith.
That's right.
That's all you got. Yeah.
And it's like, look, as your business grows and progresses, and if you come in 3 to 5 Club, it will grow and progress.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you blow it off. You're always going to be the only one that can see out front,
Yeah.
right? And so you're always going to be facing new challenges, and the things that you did a week ago or a month ago, certainly a year ago, are not the same things you can do going forward, because it's going to be new landscape, new problems, new opportunities, all that stuff. So you're always going to struggle with what to do. So I think, in this group, what is important is other people have been there before, and they can either help you with a very specific area or stage that your business is in, or they can give you ways to think about it. Right, so that you can kind of get it under control, so it doesn't become too overwhelming.
Yeah, and a lot of it's mindset, and I think it was that Relentless book with Michael Jordan's coach. He said, always do the most important thing first in your day, and that's usually the thing you want to do the least, like the scariest thing that you procrastinate about, and you'll kick it back another month if you're not careful.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're going to be. If you're a good fit for the 3 to 5 Club, I think you're going to be constantly reworking your priorities, working with your task list, your to-do list, whatever. And, because as your company grows, you have to reinvent it. You have to, I feel like it's, and I was talking to clients about this earlier, as a business owner, you start out and you're doing, all things, you're doing marketing, sales, reception, you're doing the work product, you're doing, projections, CFO work, everything. Then you get enough in the door to hire somebody to do one of those jobs, or maybe all of them, as many as they can. And then you step into your new role, and you don't know what it is until you're actually there, and you figure out what this new hire can do. And then you sort of work yourself out of that job because you're a good entrepreneur. And then you just keep the cycle. So that means that every time you make a new hire, effectively you're doing a whole new job.
That's right.
And that's fun. But you'd be a great fit for us if you're constantly reworking your role in your firm to fit the growth.
Yeah, and sometimes it's nice just to get confirmation of what you're doing, so that you have some peace of mind that you are doing the right things.
Yeah,
and that you just need to follow through.
Yeah.